everyone, welcome to Belinda's Book Cafe. It's been a while since I did a book review and recipe video, but I recently read A Taste for Love by Jeannie Yang. I read it as an ebook from my library, so I don't have the physical book. And I thought it would be fun to do a new video, talk about the book, and also make some cheese foam boba because I recently bought some cream cheese for a bagel. And I had leftover cream cheese, so I thought it'd be fun to try out cheese foam. It's my first time making it. I don't know if it's gonna turn out well or not. I'll be using the recipe by Hans. I'll link the video if you want to try to recreate it yourself. Let's get started. I am going to start by making my tea. When I make milk tea, I like to have more milk than water. So I only have a half a cup of water, and I'm gonna put in like a teaspoon and a half or 2 teaspoons of Earl Grey. I'm gonna make Earl Grey tea and just let it sit over here. Very nice. Next, I have cheese foam. I have some cream cheese. It's a little cold, so it's a little hard. And I have whipped cream, sugar, milk, and I have my boba. So I'm supposed to put in sugar and then mix it with cream cheese. I realized that I forgot my whip, but there's not much cream cheese in here, so maybe I can just do this with a spoon. Anyways, the book, A Taste for Love by Jeannie Yang. It is about a girl named Liza. She's Taiwanese living in Houston, and her parents own a bakery and restaurant called Liza Yang Bakery and Restaurant. And she is a senior in high school, about to graduate. Liza's mom is kind of traditional, and she wants Liza to date an Asian boy, and Liza is like not about it. She secretly dates like other people at school. And so at the bakery every summer they host a baking competition, and this year her mom screens all the applicants and makes them all eligible Asian boys from their community to compete in the competition that Liza got roped into judging. That's like basically the premise of the story that you see in the synopsis, but I feel like there's actually a lot more that goes on. The main love interest is a guy named James. He moved to Houston with his cousin Ben, and he meets Liza and Grace, who's Liza's best friend. She's also Asian, and Ben and Grace really hit it off, and so that leaves Liza and James to like third and fourth wheel their hangouts. And at first Liza did not really like James because he's more quiet and reserved, and initially she thinks that he's really rude. And I thought this was really interesting because it's kind of an example of how our first impressions of people, or even like first, second, third, isn't always like who the person is. And I really like that because for me, I know I'm a more quiet, reserved person as well. So I feel like in initial meetings you might not see much in my character, but like as you get to know me and I start to open up, you get to like learn more about me, I guess. You're on my YouTube, so you kind of know already a lot about me. But I really like that part of it because I think it was like a great example of how your first impression and who you think a person is might not be who they actually are. Yeah. And I think that their romance was really cute. I think that James is really a thoughtful, caring person, even though he isn't that great at initially expressing it. Okay, so let me see how this is coming up. It's really sticky, but I guess it's cheese, so that kind of makes sense. This kind of reminds me of when Namjoon and Jimin were trying to make Dalgona coffee and they were just struggling there. Yeah. Okay, this is probably like good enough. We'll add whipped cream into it. What I really loved about this book was definitely like the focus on family, and I love how oftentimes books with Asian main characters do have a focus on family, because I feel like as an Asian person, family is such a big part of my life. Like I live with my parents and my aunt, and although there are times that we don't always see like eye to eye or have the same views on things, they're like very important to me. And even though we're not very great at expressing love vocally, there's always like that current of love there. And I think that's the thing with Liza and her mom. It doesn't seem like her mom is like very understanding of Liza at first. Like Liza wants to be a baker because she really enjoys baking and go to culinary school, but her parents are trying to push her into going to normal university and studying something practical like accounting or whatever. And also with the whole dating thing, and where her mom really wants her to date an Asian boy, whereas she's like, it's not really what she's looking for exactly, like the criteria, you know, like the perfect Asian boy who's going to be a doctor, engineer, whatever. But I think despite those things, and despite her mom being like kind of a pushy person, making her go work in the bakery, like tricking her into doing things like that, I think it's evident that how much her mom like loves and cares for her, and also her dad. And I really loved that. I love how the book was set in Houston. It's set kind of in Chinatown, and they also go to different parks and things like that. And I've never been to Houston, but it was really fun to read about, and it really felt like the city was a character in the book. And I liked how they went to different restaurants with different type of cuisines. I think they went to like a Thai restaurant one, they went to a Korean barbecue place, they go to a boba place, which is why I'm gonna make boba for you. And I really enjoyed that. I have mixed all the whipped cream in here, and it's looking nice and fluffy. And now I'm going to add in a little bit of milk. I put it in this milk jar with the hope that it won't spill. Ha ha ha. I feel like a lot of cups, when you pour them, they just spill everywhere, and it's so annoying. But going back to the book, I loved all the food in the book. Like I said, Liza's parents own a restaurant and bakery, and a lot of times Liza is helping out in the bakery, and there's that whole baking competition where a lot of the things that they make in the baking competition are Asian baked goods, or like Asian inspired baked goods, and it made me want to go to a Chinese bakery. I really loved the relationship between Liza and Grace, her best friend. Grace is American born Chinese. They're so supportive of each other, and when Liza is trying to get out of her mom's matchmaking, she can count on Grace to help her. Like one of the early scenes is they're having family lunch at the restaurant, and her mom is trying to set her up with a boy in the community who is absolutely like horrendous. And so she calls up Grace and is like, please save me. They have like a code. And so Grace was like, I'm at the boba place, we can go work on our project. And so it kind of gets Liza out of having to spend the rest of lunch with this horrible guy and her mom's matchmaking. And then at the end of their girl time at the boba place, Grace gives her like a outline of their fake project that they were working on, and her mom actually asks when she gets home, like, what did you work on or whatever. And so I love that between them. I feel like they're really fun and super close, and I think it's really great that we have strong female friendships in books. My mixing is done. This is kind of how it looks. Cheese foam, and I think this is what it was like in the video. So I'm gonna put my tea together now. I made boba earlier. You can't really see it, but it's in here, and I put in some brown sugar syrup, so I won't be adding any extra sugar, and I can just pour my Earl Grey tea in here. And then I'm gonna add my milk first. because if I add my ice, I'm afraid some of my ice is gonna melt. So I'll just add that much milk. I don't usually measure my milk. I just put enough so that it looks kind of creamy and not too watery. But also when you add in ice, that'll raise the water level. Perfect! I will add my milk foam on top and hopefully it won't sink. Not milk foam. I'll add the cheese foam on top. Okay. Go. Kind of looks cool! It tastes pretty good too. It's like cheesy but a little sweet. There we go. I put everything away, so now I can add my straw. Okay, now let's mix this up. Okay, let me try this. It tastes like Earl Grey, but you can kind of get a little bit of cheese in there. But it's really good. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed making some cheese foam boba with me. And if you're interested in A Taste for Love by Jennifer Yang, I highly recommend you pick it up because I really loved it. It's a super fun book and a pretty quick read. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you soon. Bye.